Yeah, I don't know. Well, we start with that. Okay, everyone can hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. Om Gyanatimirandasya Ganachana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapala Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagurajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakambitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishware Rishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripasindu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. I believe we're up to the 4th verse, is that correct?
Sorry, Prabhuji, say that one more time, please.
What?
What did you say, Prabhuji?
Are we up to the 4th verse?
Yes, Prabhuji, but you wanted to read the preface, right?
I know what I want to do, but I want to know what I'm asking what verse. So we're up to the 4th. Okay. Okay, but I am going to read the preface first because we did skip the preface by accident. And we were going to read the preface after we read the introduction because we already started the introduction, but then somehow or other, we just went on to the verses. But now I'm going to read the preface. This is Srila Prabhupada had wrote this on May 12th, 1971 in Sydney, Australia. Originally, I wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is in the form in which it is presented now. When this book was first published, the original manuscript was unfortunately cut short to less than 400 pages without illustrations and without explanations for most of the original verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse, its English transliteration, word for word Sanskrit English equivalents, translations, and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and makes the meaning self-evident. I was not very happy, therefore, when I had to minimize my original manuscript. But later on, when the demand for Bhagavad Gita as it is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the book in its original form. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of this great book of knowledge with full parampara explanations in order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively. So, it's on the screen. It's easier for me to read it there. So, what happened is Macmillan thought that there would be no interest in, or very little interest in such a big book. So they shortened it. Prabhupada wanted to publish it. And Macmillan was a great publishing company, very prestigious publishing company. And they were willing to do it, and he couldn't find anyone else to publish it. So he agreed, okay, cut it short. They cut out most of the book. And now, after we sold so many of those, actually, I didn't sell one. I bought one of those. I bought two of those, I believe. I bought one, and I know, I definitely bought one of them. I'm not positive if I bought a second one, but they they were smaller. It was a blue cover. We don't have, we have one, I think, but a different cover on it. Anyway, they certainly weren't what they are now. But then after mainly the devotees distributing so many of them, then Macmillan agreed to publish the full complete Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada was very happy about that. So now I'm going to read a little more. Any questions on what I read or said? Not on anything else. Any questions? Okay. Our Krishna consciousness movement is genuine, historically authorized, natural, and transcendental due to its being based on Bhagavad Gita as it is. It is gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world, especially amongst the younger generation. Prabhupada is very happy that the young people were attracted to this Krishna consciousness movement, because then they have their whole life to help spread this Krishna consciousness movement. So it is becoming more and more interesting to the older generation also. Older gentlemen are becoming interested, so much so that the fathers and grandfathers of my disciples are encouraging us by becoming life members of our great society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And keep in mind that this was in 1971. In Los Angeles, many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feelings of gratitude for my leading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said that it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started the Krishna consciousness movement in America. But actually, the original father of this movement is Lord Krishna himself, since it was started a very long time ago, but is coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, his divine grace, Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajacharya 108 Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada is talking about this, the people in Los Angeles, especially the parents, there's this one parent who just recently passed away, and was it on Dandavats, Jiva? Yes. It was on Dandavats, and she was a friend also of Pali Perlmutter, who was from this temple, and they both did a lot for preaching Krishna consciousness to devotee parents. And she was very, especially, what was her name at the time?
Rose Forecast.
Rose Forecast. And then she's recently, maybe a few years ago, got initiated. And she passed away. She was 100 years old. And she passed away. She was initiated by Giriraj Swami. And she's one of these people that Srila Prabhupada is talking about here. If personally I have any credit in this matter, it is only that I have tried to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any alteration. Before my presentation of Bhagavad Gita as it is, almost all the English editions of Bhagavad Gita were introduced to fulfill someone's personal ambition. But our attempt in presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is to present the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Our business is to present the will of Krishna, not that of any mundane speculator like the politician, philosopher, or scientist, for they have very little knowledge of Krishna, despite all their other knowledge. When Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru, etc., we, unlike the so-called scholars, do not say that Krishna and his inner spirit are different. Krishna is absolute, and there is no difference between Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, etc. This absolute position of Krishna is difficult to understand for any person who is not a devotee of Krishna in the system of parampara, the cyclic succession. So, and if you're a devotee of Krishna, it's very easy to understand how Krishna is absolute. But if you're not a devotee of Krishna, very difficult to understand. Generally, the so-called scholars, politicians, philosophers, and swamis, without perfect knowledge of Krishna, try to banish or kill Krishna when writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Such unauthorized commentary upon Bhagavad Gita is known as Mayavad Bhasya, and Lord Chaitanya has warned us about these unauthorized men. Lord Chaitanya clearly says that anyone who tries to understand Bhagavad Gita from the Mayavadi point of view will commit a great blunder. The results of such a blunder will be that the misguided student of Bhagavad Gita will certainly be bewildered on the path of spiritual guidance and will not be able to go back home, back to Godhead. So this Bhagavad Gita as it is not just some impersonalist Mayavadi Bhagavad Gita. I read a Bhagavad Gita before and it sounded nice. It didn't really do anything to me. And out of all the Bhagavad Gitas that were in America, there was actually a lot of different Bhagavad Gitas when Prabhupada was here. None of them made a devotee. Nobody became a devotee from reading those Bhagavad Gitas. And devotees, many devotees, actually read the Bhagavad Gita and became devotees. Even bought them in a bookstore, not even buying them from a devotee, and read them and became a devotee. So Prabhupada's books are completely spiritual. And they're Bhagavad Gita as it is, not as I want it to be. Okay, I'm going to continue reading. Our only purpose is to present this Bhagavad Gita as it is in order to guide the conditioned student to the same purpose for which Krishna descends to this planet once in a day of Brahma, or every 8,600,000,000 years. This purpose is stated in Bhagavad Gita, and we have to accept it as it is. Otherwise, there is no point in trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita and its speaker, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna first spoke Bhagavad Gita to the sun god some hundreds of millions of years ago. We have to accept this fact and thus understand the historical significance of Bhagavad Gita without misinterpretation on the authority of Krishna. To interpret Bhagavad Gita without any reference to the will of Krishna is the greatest offense. In order to save oneself from this offense, one has to understand the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he was directly understood by Arjuna, Lord Krishna's first disciple. Such understanding of Bhagavad Gita is really profitable and authorized for the welfare of human society in fulfilling the mission of life. So just this one book, Prabhupada said, can be the only book we ever read, the only scripture that we have. We don't need anything else. And he of course translated much more than just this one book. But even if that's all it was, that's sufficient to go back to Godhead. Can you go up now so you don't go up when I'm reading it? Okay. The Krishna consciousness movement is essential in human society, for it offers the highest perfection of life. How this is so is explained fully in the Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, mundane wranglers have taken advantage of Bhagavad Gita to push forward their demoniac propensities and mislead people regarding right understanding of the simple principles of life. Shouldn't say mislead people regarding the right understanding? I think it should be a the. Anyway, right understanding of the simple principles of life. What is it in there? Everyone should know that a living entity is eternally a servant, and that unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of the three modes of material nature, and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. Even the so-called liberated Mayavadi speculator has to undergo this process. This knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living being has to hear it for his own interest. So Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita for everyone's benefit, for their spiritual benefit, and he translated it as it is. He didn't have a purpose other than to just give Krishna. That was his only purpose. Did you find that? Same? Yeah. Okay, any questions so far on anything I read or said? I only have one more paragraph, then if there's any questions or comments, you can speak then. People in general, especially in this age of Kali, are enamored by the external energy of Krishna, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts, every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong, for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. So people think that if they can have material comforts, they'll be happy. It's so foolish, because how long can you have material comforts for? You get in old age, no matter how many material comforts you get, you're still in pain, you're still suffering, you still can't walk, your knees giving you problems, your back's giving you problems, and then you die. So what's so wonderful about it? Well, let me live comfortable my whole life and then die. And then what happens to you then? Then you could take birth as a cockroach in the same home that you were so comfortable in, because you became so attached to it. So this idea of wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts, every man will be happy. And then not only that, what about relationships? You know, your parents you have, and they have to pass away. You know, your husband and wife have to pass away. You know, your children, then they can, you know, one of them can do some bad things. I mean, there's so much suffering. You can have comforts and still be very unhappy. And we know that because there's people who are, you know, millionaires and they commit suicide, not because they don't have comforts, but it's miserable. It's a miserable place, this material world. So the problem is they have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong, for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and thus his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. So we're actually part and parcel of the Lord. We're meant to serve the Lord. If we serve the Lord, then we become happy. You have to serve somebody. Everyone has to serve somebody. No one in this world doesn't serve anyone. No one is here and everyone serves them. They serve. So by the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different forms, which will never make him happy. So even if we have no one else, then we serve our senses. Senses want this, and we do everything we can to get it. So instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. The Lord wants this, and he demands it. One has to understand the central point of Bhagavad Gita. Our Krishna consciousness movement is teaching the whole world this central point. And because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad Gita as it is, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad Gita must take help from the Krishna consciousness movement for practical understanding of Bhagavad Gita under the direct guidance of the Lord. So if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, the best place to go is to the Hare Krishna movement, to a Hare Krishna temple, because they have the right understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So we hope, therefore, that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here, and if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 12 May 1971, Sydney, Australia. So even if one person becomes a pure devotee, Prabhupada considers his attempt a success. So many people are becoming pure devotees. So Prabhupada did such a wonderful thing for all of the devotees. So anyone have any comments or questions? I just wanted to read that before we continue with the Bhagavad Gita. Comments, questions?
Pyari, who was this Rose person you were mentioning earlier? Pali Parmata's friend?
Yes, they were friends. And
She lived in Connecticut?
Pali Parmata did, but not the
I know,
other.
I knew Pali. Pali helped me, but I didn't. This Rose lady was from here or no?
No, she was not. She's from Los Angeles.
Mm.
She had a daughter who was a devotee.
Yeah, her daughter was a devotee. Her daughter
Initiated
passed
by
away before
Prabhupada.
she did.
Yeah, she was initiated by Prabhupada.
Yeah, her daughter was initiated by Prabhupada. Why don't you tell it, G?
Well, there's a nice thing on Dhanavats about her, and it tells how she would even argue with people who were opposed to the movement, like even on TV, they'd be interviewing and they'd tell her, and she would say that this movement saved her daughter from drugs and from a horrible life. And she would tell them that you don't know anything about it. You come over to my home and have lunch or dinner, and we can talk about it. She said, don't criticize if you don't know anything about it. She was very like that.
What was her name again? Rose what?
Rose Porkash. And she got initiated, and it's something like Ranjini Priya.
And what was the daughter's name?
Leela Sukha, was it?
Maybe.
It's on Dandavats.
Mother Jiva, can you forward me the article, please?
Okay, I'll try to find it, and there's a bit about her. Yeah, she was.
But we've
very
known
special.
of them way before this article, but we didn't. But the article gives even more information, things we didn't know.
And she
Even-
was a friend of Pali Parmata?
Yes.
Yeah, they were both, very supportive and tried to reach out to parents, so they.
There was a group they had of like parents of Krishna devotees,
yeah.
something like that. They had a name for it. I don't remember the name. And they were all over the country, not a real lot, but and Prabhupada was very, very happy with them.
Even Rose's parents were attracted and wanted to get involved and supportive. It talks about that on there too. So a very devotional family, whole family.
Yeah, but they said that he couldn't live in the temple, the grandfather of the disciple of Prabhupada, because he smoked cigars. But he said he would move into the temple. The grandfather said that. But he said he can't stop smoking cigars.
Yeah. Even one of the aunts, right away, she bowed down. She was just doing what everybody was doing. Very devotional.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
nice.
Pali Parmata preached to me, She was, I was like 22 at the time, and she was preaching to me. She told me how she gave up eggs. I remember her saying, apparently Shravanananda told her, you're eating the menstruation of the hen, and that made her like all grossed out, and she gave up eggs because of that, she said.
Yeah, he preached, he was pretty heavy, but he got her to become a devotee, got his mother to
Mhm.
become a devotee. It was really, she's nice. We have to call her again. We haven't called her in a while.
I know. I feel bad because I haven't kept in touch with her for a long time. And once I tried to call her, nobody was picking up. But then I said, feel like even if she picks up, I wouldn't know what to say to her now,
Just say
Is
hi,
she-
Krishna, and she'll talk. You gotta send it to Prashad.
Hare
No, she-
Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna. Just
Hare
shared the link over. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Oh, thanks.
Okay,
She sent Dandavat link she sent to us
Oh, she sent it out.
where?
in the chat. In the chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
Mataji, can you send it in my email, Padmalochani Mataji?
Yes, I'll send Mataji.
Okay, because I don't know how to access it.
yeah, I'm like you, Sudevi Priya.
Yeah. I have no qualms being open with it. As far as technology is concerned, I'm a dodo. So
Okay, so
Prabhuji, just one quick question about, so when Prabhupada writes about his Guru Maharaj that all the credit goes to His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. So why do we write 108 in the name? I had never understood the concept of that, writing 108 in the name of the acharyas.
I think it's just the name was a little short. They just had to lengthen it a little bit. I really don't know. 108 is auspicious, so it somehow gets put in.
I had read somewhere, but my memory is so bad I can't remember now. I had read somewhere about the 108. Now I can't.
I
but
never
I'll-
read anything about it, so I'm sure there's a reason, but I don't know. I hope that helps.
Yeah, a lot. And Prabhupada writes that the original, the Macmillan edition was cut short to less than 400 pages. So
Yeah.
who did the editing of what to remove from the original manuscript that Prabhupada wrote?
Well, I think they did, the Macmillan, the editors. They say they want it to be so many pages, so they go through it and make it that many pages. They do what they think.
So they removed like whatever they felt is not important, they removed it from the commentary? Or
Let's say what they felt they can is I don't think, I mean, I don't know if they think, well, that's not important, but we have to get it down to certain things. So let's concise it, make it something that might be a little harder to understand. Let's take that out. I don't know how they did it.
okay.
I think I have one of those Bhagavad Gitas. I used to have one, and I'm pretty sure I still do.
We have one in the at least 2 copies in the temple. In the store, I mean.
What?
We have 2 copies in the store. The
No,
Macmillan edition. Yeah, we have it, Prabhu.
I don't think so.
I'll bring it to you when I meet you next.
The
Not the
condensed.
abridged, not the condensed.
The pocket one, the pocket Bhagavad Gita. That is the Macmillan edition actually. The small one.
Well, you show me. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think there is. Not the ones from that originally came out. Is the picture? What's the picture on the cover?
I think it's Krishna riding the chariot of Arjuna. That's what I remember.
It's more like you don't see Krishna. It's more like a little black and blue. I think it is. Anyway, okay, bring them here.
I think he's talking about those little ones. They're soft.
How just soft Bhagavad Gitas, little small ones?
Yes, Prabhuji, that's the one. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, this one is probably, well, I don't know. I don't know if you can tell how big it is. Big as my head.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's about this big, but you can't tell how big anything is from,
Got it.
get a book, yeah, like that. It's probably, they're smaller than that. And I think it's maybe bigger than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me both of them. It's bigger than this, and it's smaller than this.
That helps.
Okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so now I'm going to read, well, we got a half an hour. Text 4, it's a small purport. Atra Shura Maheshvasa Bimarjuna Samayudi Yudano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharataha. Oh, you got it. Okay, you can just repeat at one line at a time after me. Atra Sura Madheshvasa
Atra sura maheshvasa
Bimarjuna Samayudi
samayudhi
Yuyudano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharataha.
Atra sura maheshvasa
Atra
Bhimarjuna samayudhi
Bhimarjuna Samayudhi
Yudhano viratascha
Yudhano Viratascha
Drupadascha Maharataha.
Drupadascha Maharataha.
Anyone else?
Atra sura maheshvasa
Atra Shura Maheshvasa
Bhimarjuna samayudhi
Bhimarjuna Samayudhi
Yudhano viratascha
Yudhano Viratascha
Drupadascha Maharata.
Drupadascha
Maharata.
Atra sura maheshwa asa.
Atra Shura
Maheshasha.
Bhimarjuna samayudhi.
Bhimarjuna
Vimojana
Samayudhi
Shamayudhi.
Yudhano viratascha.
Yudhano
Yayadano
Viratascha
Virastascha.
Drupadascha Maharata.
Drupadascha
Drupadascha
Maharataha
Maharata.
Atra sura maheshwasa.
Atra Sura
Maheshvasa
Maheshasha.
Bhimarjuna samayudhi.
Bhima Arjuna Shamayudhi.
Yudhano viratascha.
Yudhano Virastascha.
Drupadascha Maharata.
Drupadascha Maharata.
Atra,
Atra
Atra
here.
here.
Suraha,
Suraha
heroes.
heroes.
Maha Ishu Asaha,
Maha Ishu Ashaha.
mighty bowmen.
Mighty bowmen.
Bhima Arjuna,
Bhima Arjuna.
to Bhima and Arjuna.
To Bhima and Arjuna.
Samaha,
Samaha.
equal.
Equal.
Yudhi,
Yudhi.
in the fight.
In the fight.
Yuyudanaha,
Yudhana.
Yuyudana.
Yudhana.
Virata,
Virata.
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 Cha, also.
Also.
Drupada,
Drupada.
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 Cha,
Cha.
also.
Also.
Maharataha,
Maharataha,
great fighter.
great
Great
fighter.
fighter.
Okay, if you can mute everyone, except for me. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. Great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada. So before I read the purport, just to go back. This is Duryodhana. He went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So this is the battle. Duryodhana, he sees that even though they have way more people in their army, more warriors than the Pandavas, he still sees how good they set everything up, and he's a little scared. And he wants to make sure that Dronacharya doesn't slack off because his favorite disciples are on the other side. So I'll read the purport and we'll discuss a little more. Even though Drishtadumna was not a very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were causes of fear. They are mentioned by Duryodhana as great stumbling blocks on the path of victory, because each and every one of them was as formidable as Bhima and Arjuna. He knew the strength of Bhima and Arjuna, and thus he compared the others to them. So he's comparing, of course, we know the strength, from what we hear of Bhima and Arjuna. And so Duryodhana certainly knew the strength, and he's mentioning other people who are also on their side, who are also very powerful. And he's saying all this so just to convince Dronacharya, who he taught them. He's their teacher. He knows all this science so well. You should be upset with these people who are now going to fight against us, and you should do your very best. And this is one of the things he's telling him. And Bhima, he already decided he was going to. I believe he made 3 vows. So that one is that he will break Duryodhana's thigh because he showed us his thigh to Draupadi when they were trying to disrobe her. And he said some comments about her, I don't know if it was sitting on his, you should sit on my thigh or something similar, very, very insulting. And for this, he wants to break his thigh and kill him. He also wants to kill apparently all of the Kauravas, all of Duryodhana and all of his 99 brothers. He wants to kill them all. He made a vow to kill them all. And also a vow for he was going to, was it Dushasan who was going to tear out his heart? Dushasan? I think it was Dushasan who dragged Draupadi, cut.
Bhima made the promise that he would take Dushasan's heart and bring it to Draupadi.
I can't hear when there's clicking. There's some clicking going on when you start talking. But Bhima, because they took down Draupadi's hair, and he's just, and this was like, I think 12 years later, he's still just as angry. Because then they went in exile after that, and he kept that anger and he kept this determination to, we think about the punishment. It's not, fair. It's not equal. I show my thigh to some woman and therefore my thigh should be broken and I should be killed. It seems unfair, but These are Kshatriyas. They have high standards. You don't do things like this. You just get killed if you do things like that. So and I think also that the other Pandavas had opportunities to kill during that battle, to kill some of the Kauravas, but they didn't because Bhima, he made that vow, so they let him live so that Bhima can kill him. And anyway, so the Bhima is very, 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 very powerful. He had the strength of 10,000 elephants. 10,000 elephants. Imagine having the strength of one elephant. He was just a really strong guy. and he could fight with 10,000 warriors at the same time. So this is the, and Duryodhana is a politician, and he's saying what's necessary to get Dronacharya fired up to fight this battle. Dronacharya, if he had a choice, he would be fighting on the other side, because he knows the Pandavas are righteous. They didn't do anything wrong. They were swindled out of everything. And they didn't even ask for everything back. They're not fighting to get everything back. They were just fighting for just some plots, 5 villages, small villages. They have the whole world. All they want is 5 villages so they can rule. They're Kshatriyas, they're kings, they have to rule something. Give them 5 villages. And Duryodhana told them, I wouldn't give you enough land to put a pin in. You don't need much land to put a pin in, and he won't even give them that much land. So they had no choice but to fight. And Duryodhana and Bhishma, they would both be on their side, but because they were maintained by the Kauravas, they had to fight on their side. It's just more of a Kshatriya thing. They're not Brahmins, they're Kshatriyas. And they're loyal to, to fight with, if they're being maintained by a certain king, they have to fight on that king's side. And Duryodhana was smart enough to know that these Pandavas are your favorites. And I don't want you to be kind to your favorites. They already got all these powerful people on their side. We really have to fight hard to defeat them. So he was a politician. He was saying what he needed to say just to get Duryodhana and the others to get behind him and give it your all. Give it everything you have. Okay, I will read another verse, but first, does anyone have any comments or questions? Well, I got to read 2 or 3 more verses because there's no purpose. But anyone have any comments or questions? Okay, text 5. Dristaketush Chekitana
Ketu Chekitana
Kashira
Kashirajascha Viryavan
Kashirajascha Viryavan
Purujit Kunti Bojascha
Purujit Kunti Bhojascha
Shaibhyascha Nara Pungavaha.
Shaibhascha Narapungava.
Narapungava.
They're also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraj, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, and Shaibhya. There are the mighty Yudamanyu, the very powerful Uttamoja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So first he's telling of the others. Now he's telling them about what we have on our side. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Asvatthama, Vikarna, and the sons of Somadatta, called Burishvara, who are always victorious in battle. So we have all these people on our side. So he was telling about how they have so many great warriors on the other side. And then you know, he realized maybe I'm glorifying them too much. I don't know what he realized, but so let me tell him what we have on our side. Now he starts out, there are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Asvatthama, Vikarna, and the sons of Somadatta called Burishvara, who are always victorious in battle. Purport. The Odana mentions the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana. Asvatthama is the son of Dronacharya. And Somadatta, or Burishvara, is the son of the king of the Balikas. Karna is the half-brother of Arjuna, although they don't know that at the time, as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Kripacharya's twin sister married Dronacharya. Kripacharya's twin sister married Dronacharya. So just mentioning all these people. So I didn't realize that Dronacharya's wife was Kripacharya's twin sister, but it says it. I read it before. I certainly didn't remember it. So these are some more of the people who are on their side. And if you look at these heroes, I mean, in battle, Dronacharya himself, nobody can really defeat Dronacharya. They couldn't defeat Dronacharya, even on the Pandavas couldn't. But Krishna understood that Dronacharya would die only if he knew his son was no longer alive. If his son was alive, there's nothing that can stop him. So they pretended. Actually, Yudhisthira Maharaj is one who never told a lie. And because he never told a lie, his chariot was off the ground. It was never touching the ground. He was like the most saintly Brahmin, but he was a Kshatriya. And Krishna told him to say that Asvatthama is dead, because Krishna knew that Dronacharya, it would be easy to defeat Dronacharya if Asvatthama was dead. Even though he wasn't dead, Krishna makes his own rules. He can do anything he wants. But Yudhisthira hesitated to say that Asvatthama was dead. And when he hesitated, his chariot touched the ground. So it's not so much that he didn't tell a lie as much as he was doing what Krishna wanted. But now, the first time Krishna asked him to do something, to tell a lie. So in other words, you should never tell a lie. But if God personally comes and tells you to tell a lie, then you tell a lie. You know, that Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadhamam Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Brajaham Tvam Savapapebhyo Mokshayasyami Masuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, and I'll protect you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So abandon all varieties of religion. It's a variety of religion not to lie, to be truthful. But abandon that to surrender to Krishna. If you have to tell a lie to surrender to Krishna, then you tell a lie. I mean, in most cases, nobody has to tell any lies to surrender to Krishna. But this is one instance of somebody who was more attached to being truthful And because of that, his chariot touched the ground, more attached to that than just doing anything immediately when Krishna says something. Don't hesitate. Even the purport to that verse, Sarvadharam Pratyajam, Srila Prabhupada says, don't hesitate, don't worry, don't fear. Those three things. You just do it. No hesitating, no fear, no worries. You just do it. So then they killed an elephant, which also had a name Asvatama. So the elephants had names, pretty long name, Asvatama, but that was the name of the elephant, and they killed it. And then Yudhisthira Maharaj says, Asvatama is dead. But some people say, he said, Asvatama, the elephant, is dead. And then Dronacharya, of course, believed Yudhisthira. If any of the other Pandavas said it or anyone else said it, he wouldn't just believe it. But because it's Yudhisthira said it, he believed it. Even though it wasn't true, he still believed it. And that way they were able to kill Dronacharya. And that's just the first one. Bhishma. How can anyone kill Bhishma when he has a benediction? He doesn't have to die unless he wants to. So nobody can kill him unless he wants to. I mean, he had arrows to his body, his whole body. I mean, it's to his whole body. You get one arrow to your body, or one arrow to your arm or your hand, and how you're going to feel. You're going to keep fighting. He kept fighting until the arrows were to his body, and he fell down, and he's just on top of arrows. And he actually didn't even die in the battle. He stayed alive for some days just on those arrows. So you have men like you, Bhishma, Karna. Karna was the greatest. He's the greatest. He's the son of the sun god. He was such a great fighter. And he was the eldest of the Pandavas. And after, when they were doing the funeral rites after the battle, then Kunti said, you have to do funeral rites for Karna because he's your elder brother. And they were very upset. Because why didn't you tell us? If we knew, we would have put him as our king. You know, they were so detached to do the right thing. They didn't like Karna. They had problems with Karna. But they were willing to give him everything if they knew he was their elder brother. They were willing to do that. They were upset. And as a matter of fact, Maharaj Yudhisthira cursed the woman after this incident that they would never be able to keep a secret. So if you want to keep a secret, you know who not to tell. But because she kept it secret for all these years, never said anything about it. So Karna, he could have been the king. But he was such a great, powerful warrior. And Kripa, Asvatama, I don't know, I don't really know much about Asvatama except for the bad things where he killed 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas. They're little kids sleeping in a tent, and he kills them, slits their throat. Oh, I believe that's how he did it, but whatever way he did it, he killed them. So horrible. And then he told Duryodhana, who was a really bad person, what he did, and Duryodhana thought that was a terrible thing to do. That was even low for Duryodhana, that he killed the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas. So he didn't please anybody by doing it. So I don't know how he was in battle, why he would kill these little kids, but that's what he did. And Vikarna, I don't know much about Vikarna. But anyway, they're all great warriors that at that time people knew who they were. And this is the setting of the Bhagavad Gita. This is what's going on the battlefield before the fight starts. before the Bhagavad Gita spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. This is the setting, and Arjuna's seeing all this taking place. And he's still fired up now, but soon he's going to get some doubts, a little depressed, maybe quite a bit depressed. His bow is just slipping from his hands. He has no strength to even hold up his bow anymore. So this will be coming soon. Well, this is the setting. Duryodhana talking to Dronacharya. Okay. Anyone have any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad. I have a question.
Who's that?
This is Omio.
I thought it was. Okay. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu, Dandavad. So sometimes I get hard time understanding the thought process of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So which one is more sinful?
Stop. Thought process of who?
Yudhishthir Maharaj.
Yes. Okay.
So which one is more sinful? Killing an innocent animal or telling a lie?
Well, that's a good question, because in the Bhagavatam, it says, first of all, killing innocent animals, Kshatriyas do that. That's part of what Kshatriyas do. They have to practice killing, and they kill animals, deer, different animals, not cows, but different animals. That's one thing. Telling a lie, in the Bhagavatam, it says that the earth can tolerate these big, heavy mountains that are on top of them, on top of the earth, but they can't tolerate a liar. A liar is just too much for the earth to hold up. So it's really bad to lie. It's really bad to lie, and it's certainly bad for us devotees. It's to kill animals or to eat meat is probably the worst thing we could do. And sometimes in Krishna's service, you may have to tell a lie. Like you're out selling books. And I mean, I'll just give an example. I was actually selling books inside of a store once, because it's so freezing outside. We go inside the stores and sell them. And one lady said, "Are you sure you're supposed to be here?" And I says, "I'm positive I'm supposed to be here." But I was thinking also spiritually, I was supposed to be there. Wasn't thinking about materially if they gave me permission or not. So in that sense, it probably wasn't a lie, because I was supposed to be there. Supposed to distribute Prabhupada's books. So sometimes things like that is what they call white lies, I can't really think of anything right now, but sometimes for preaching purposes, you say something that may not be completely true. Best if you're just completely truthful. You sell the books on its merit. Now, I'm just thinking of things that we used to say on Radha Damodar, but we say a lot of things. I think we were pushing this a little too much, where we can do anything for Krishna. We should be able to speak the truth and make it palatable so people will take these books. We shouldn't have to lie. But there were instances in the past where devotees did things. Police would come, I wasn't doing anything, whatever. So I think it depends on what the lie is. Are you trying to figure out which one you want to do or which one you shouldn't do?
No, bro.
We don't do any of them. We shouldn't do any of them. There's also a difference when a devotee is talking to a devotee. there's no reason to lie. Then it'd be bad, I think, to lie. But if you're talking to some, it depends what you're doing. You're trying to distribute Prabhupada's books on private property, and somebody says, are you supposed to be here? Yes, do you have permission to be here? Yes, I have permission. Because we have permission. We can see we have permission from Prabhupada, from Krishna, not from the stupid person who thinks he owns the place. Years ago, when we distributed books, we not real often, but we've been arrested many times just distributing books, because we have to go on private property to distribute books, and then they arrest us for soliciting without permission or whatever rules they have. But I think to be truthful is the safest bet. And now we really don't have to do those things. We get permission. We pay for places we can go, so we can sell Prabhupada's books. So, Gitamala, can you think of a time when it's okay to lie?
I was going to say that. So when you're donating, and don't tell your husband how much you've given to the temple, it might be okay to lie.
Yeah. If you have a husband who's not much of a devotee, or not a devotee, or a wife, and you want to do something for Krishna consciousness, and you have to say you're going somewhere else because they get upset, or you go to the temple, so then it's okay. You got to do, keep your marriage together. If you told them I'm going to the temple and I'm spending more time with Krishna than I am with you, they may be upset about that.
Gitamala Mataji, this program is streaming live on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Better watch out.
Anyway, there's sometimes you can lie. I can't think of any time where we can kill an animal. There's no need for it. There's no one needs to do that. But there is some truth to also, even in the Bhagavatam, it says how by killing like the deer, it controls the population. Otherwise, it can go out of balance. Too many deer. I don't know what will happen, but they have a certain season even now for hunting. So many, to keep the herds down. Otherwise, they all starve. So many things happen. I don't know the logics behind it, but I know it's a fact. And that was one of the reasons they even did it years ago. The Kshatriyas did it. Okay, so any other, the class is over, but anybody have another question? I hope it's an easy one. Omeo kind of got me stuck there. I'm lying. I didn't know if I should lie or tell the truth when I was answering them. Okay, so let's offer our respectful obeisances to the devotees, to Srila Prabhupada and the devotees.
Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Antakoti Vaishnavvrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ki jai.
Did you chant the verse today?
Yes.
Did you read it yourself?
Yeah.
Really? Very good.
Tulsi did a great job.
She's amazing.
Jai Prabhu ki. Jai.
And this is the best job she did.
Please give the blessing that can accept Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm sure you're getting Krishna's blessings. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
She agrees.